Coming up on this week's Weird News, we have stories about a greedy dog, buzzing bees, a leap of faith for a dolphin, and having the internet exclusively.
And now, it's time for this week's Weird News with Daniel Bryan.
Welcome back to this week's Weird News, episode 18. We are at the end of a scorching hot week here in the UK, where summer has definitely landed. Coming up on the show today, we have 4 new weird and wonderful news stories just for you. And on TWWN Music, we have a young artist called Char Bradley. So, if you missed last week's show, here's a summary of what you missed. On our last show, our first story was about a man who got his car covered in blue post-it notes as punishment for parking in a disabled bay when he shouldn't have. Our second story was about the Overton Bridge in Scotland, where mysteriously dogs had been committing suicide. Our third story was about a car parked in New York that was given 2 parking tickets. Both traffic wardens failed to see the owner dead on the driver's seat. And our final story was about a bus driver who was filmed putting his shoes and socks on while driving a bus. And on TWWN Music, we had Jade Henderson with her beautiful song, Nobody Knows. If you missed it, find it on our website at www.thisweeksweirdnews.com or download the podcast from all the major platforms. Now it's time for the weird and wonderful news over the last week that you may have missed. Our stories today come from week 27, 2015, or, as some of you may prefer, the 29th of June to the 5th of July.
Story number 1.
This week, one dog got a shock when he greedily stole and ate his owner's Rice Krispie cakes. Loki is a Siberian husky dog and lives with his owner, Tony Costa. Tony hadn't noticed that the Rice Krispie cakes were missing. The first thing he knew was when he noticed Loki in the corner of the room, acting peculiar. Loki's tongue was hanging out the side of his mouth, and his head was flopping around. The dog was also unable to walk and support its own body weight. So what had happened to Loki? Well, the Rice Krispie cakes were not all they seemed. They were laced with cannabis, and they had been cooling down on the side when Loki had found them. After they noticed they were missing, they immediately knew what was wrong with Loki. He was high on drugs. In true 21st century fashion, one of the people over at the house at the time filmed the whole event on their mobile phone, and the video has gone viral online. The video shows Loki being held up by his owner as he lunges from side to side with his head rolling around. Loki's owner, Tony, decided it was a waiting game till the effects of the marijuana wore off. The morning after, Loki was still high, and it wasn't until the following evening that he could walk properly and unaided. I did notice little things about this article, where it says the cannabis-laced cakes were in a friend's bag, and that they contacted a friend to know to wait for the effects to wear off, essentially saying the drugs weren't ours, honest. So the video is doing well online and getting lots of views. Comments on the videos, however, are somewhat mixed. Some people find it funny, and others feel sorry for the dog that was unaware of the illegal substance that someone had brought into the house. The RSPCA have also commented on the video, saying that in an event like this, the dog should have been taken to the vets, and it should have been treated like any other form of poisoning. So if you want to see the video and make your own judgments, go and search for it on YouTube and let us know what your views are.
Story number 2.
Bees are incredibly clever creatures, and over the years, they've seen a decline in numbers. Bees are good for our environment as they pollinate plants, which in turn converts harmful CO2 in our environment into oxygen that we breathe. The humble little bee maps out a radius of 2 miles from their hive, and they know what type of pollen is available and where to find it within that 2 miles. Then on a daily basis, they work together to collect the same type of pollen. They tell each other where to find it by doing a little bee dance, and then off they go. So if you're going to move a beehive, there is a beekeeping rule for moving it. Either you move it less than 2 feet or over 2 miles. Up to 2 feet, they can find their hive. If you move it any further, they can't find it, and as a result, they will swarm to the area where the hive used to be, if you move them further than 2 miles, they'll be completely lost and not know their way back. So they'll start making a new home in their new place. Last year, we essentially babysat a swarm of bees in our back garden that were found swarmed in a chimney in Oxford. They were moved out of the chimney and put in a hive, and then they were moved over 2 miles to our back garden here, where they remained for about 6 weeks, in which time they'd have forgotten about their old environment and learned our area around here. They then were moved back to Oxford to their new home without fear that they'd go back to the original chimney. Our cats were rather unaware that there were potentially 20,000 bees in a box in our garden, as they took to sitting on top of the hive quite a lot. So, why all the bee facts? Well, in the US this week, a large number of hives were being transported to a new home, all full of bees. The hives themselves were all closed off so the bees were kept in, and then all the hives were placed on the back of a lorry. Unfortunately, while on the motorway, the lorry was involved in a crash. As a result of the crash, the integrity of the hives was compromised, and millions of bees escaped out into the motorway. In an instant, the motorway went from a standard day to a mess of vehicle wreckage and a sea of rather agitated bees. It was believed that the total number of bees released was about 2 million. Give that a think, 2 million bees just in one area, all rather angry. The motorway was closed for several hours while emergency services were called out. The fire department had to use suppression foam to prevent the spread of fire from the vehicles involved in the crash. As a result, a large number of the bees were killed from the chemicals in the foam. A number of beekeepers also attended the scene in an attempt to save as many bees as they could. So sadly, there were a few less bees due to this crash. Police and fire crews attended, said that it was like nothing they'd seen before. A few people were stung, but no one was seriously hurt. Strangely, back in April, the same company who were transporting these bees had another crash, and then lost another 448 hives. So it may be time for them to look at the kind of people they're employing as drivers and to reevaluate the situation. You can become part of this week's Weird News. This section of the show could be dedicated to you. Sponsor the show and we can fill this section with a tailor-made advert just for you. Reach your audience in a different way with the power of a podcast. We are open to your ideas, so get in touch at thisweeksweirdnews@gmail.com. Get on board with us now as our listeners grow and we can reach more and more subscribers together.
Story number 3.
Our next story tells us why you should always buy dolphin-friendly tuna in a supermarket. In California, one family were out on a fishing boat, watching a pod of dolphins, when out of nowhere, one of the dolphins took a giant leap out of the water and landed in the boat. Suddenly, everything turned into chaos on board the vessel. In the process of hopping on board, the dolphin managed to land on the man's wife, knocking her over and crushing her legs, and breaking both of her ankles. To add another injury to the mix, the dolphin also managed to hit his daughter in the face as he flew by. The man managed to pull his wife free from under the dolphin, which is reported in at weighing approximately 150 kilograms, before he started splashing water over the boat-stricken dolphin. His plan was to keep the dolphin alive so it could be removed from the boat and put back into the sea. He then turned the boat back to shore, and every 30 seconds on his way in, he would stop, let go of the steering wheel and pour some more water over the dolphin. He radioed ahead to shore to get help, but whether he was more worried about getting help for the dolphin or his wife, we don't know. The dolphin itself had been injured from the jump and had numerous cuts to its tail and nose. Once back to shore, and aided by another 2 men, the man managed to release the dolphin back into the water with the aid of some rope, in the hope that his injuries would heal up over time. There have been previous reports of sea lions jumping aboard boats, but this is the first reported case of a dolphin doing it. The couple had been out watching the dolphins as part of their 18th wedding anniversary celebrations. So that's going to be one to remember, isn't it? His wife is doing well and currently has casts on both feet while her bones recover.
Story number 4.
Our final story today takes us away from our somewhat animal special. Here in the UK, we are worldly known for queuing. But in this modern day age, the art of queuing is changing. Instead of getting out of bed, deciding what to wear, dragging yourself out of the house to the shops, or cinema, or whatever you're queuing for, now you can do it from the comfort of your own home, or sat on your sofa in your boxers. But why would you queue online when everything is available at the click of a button? Well, a new website has opened up at www.mostexclusivewebsite.com, and it's been drawing in the crowds so they can queue. The idea of the website is you go to it and you pick up a ticket. Your ticket gives you exclusive access to the website for 60 seconds. So, just like queuing for the deli counter in Sainsbury's, there you are with your ticket in the queue waiting for your number to be called. So, what exactly are you queuing for? Well, that's the mysterious thing. The website doesn't actually tell you what you're queuing for, and that simple fact is the reason that so many people are flocking to get their ticket. As more and more people are hearing about the website, the waiting time to view it is going up and up. People have reported that they have waited 364 hours to access it, and I guess by now this has only gone up again. So, for your own inquisitiveness, or for your own exclusive part of the internet for 60 seconds, would you go and get a ticket? Well, at this week's Weird News, we know what's on the website, and we could tell you right now, but we're not going to. That's not to spoil the surprise. So over the next week, go check it out for yourself, and if you're still wondering by this time next week, and you've not had the chance to go check it out, or indeed if you're still in the queue and you're bored, we will tell you at the start of next week's show. And there we have it, this week's 4 weird and wonderful news stories that we hope you enjoyed enough to tell your friends and to get in contact with the show with your views and comments. Send your emails to
thisweeksweirdnews@gmail.com
or comment on our Facebook or our Twitter.
Comment on Facebook at facebook.com/thisweeksweirdnews or on Twitter @weeksweirdnews.
Or you can go to our website where you'll find more about the show, our previous TWWN artists, and can listen again to any of our episodes. To do this, go to
www.thisweeksweirdnews.com.
TWWN Music.
Now time for more TWWN Music, where each week we play a song from a new up-and-coming artist. Then we welcome your comments, and you can go check them out further on their YouTube channels or social media. Last week we played a song called Nobody Knows by Jade Henderson. If you didn't hear it, check out the website to listen to her brilliant track and to learn more about her. Now on to this week, where we have a song today called Stepping Stones. Stepping Stones has been written and performed by a 17-year-old artist called Char Bradley from here in the UK. She remembers singing her own songs when she was only 11, and even if she didn't understand what she was singing about half the time, she still loved it. She continued singing as she grew up, and last year she brought herself a ukulele, where she has gone on to perform at open mic nights and small venues. She has also taught herself how to play guitar to aid her future song development. So why Stepping Stones? And what's the song all about? Charlotte says that as she grew up, people were constantly asking her,
Charlotte, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go to university? Do you even want to go to university? I thought you wanted to be a singer. Or did you say you wanted to be an actress? Why don't you work in a shop? How about you just stay at home?
But then she realised that she didn't have to decide just yet, and that she wanted to see where the world would take her, instead of overthinking and worrying about things. So if you feel the same way, maybe you can sympathise with this song. So go check out our website at www.thisweeksweirdnews.com and go to the TWWN music page to see the video for Stepping Stones, and check out her social media links. And don't forget to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next time with more weird and wonderful news from around the world. Now, to play us out, it's Char Bradley with Stepping Stones.
To go on walks that last forever. tiptoeing across some stepping stones, and falling for time, chasing butterflies, the fog and the sun. Feel the wind in my hair, I want to be alive. I wanna try out different coffee shops and visit museums, find out how the world was made, and swim as far out in the ocean as I dare and survive, facing all my biggest fears. And I don't know what to say to you when you ask what I want to be. All I know is I want to see the world alone, or you and me. We can go mini golfing, get in trouble, kiss at midnight, tie-dye all our favorite clothes, and go for picnics, making ice cream, watching films outside, eat our body weight in toast. Yes, it may seem a bit far-fetched to you, these things I want to do and see. Well, I'd rather go and explore the world than watch it on TV. Do 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 do. We can go dig for fossils, go cloud watching, try a new food. Maybe sushi, maybe not. We can go roller skating, pancake making, hiking at night. Get a kitten. I think I'll stick to dogs. The point I'm trying to make here, though it's not that clear to see, there are lots of things I want to do, so stop asking what I'll be. There are lots of things I want to do, so stop asking what I'll be.
Join us next time for more weird and wonderful news from around the world. Only on this week's Weird News. Goodbye.